Jimmy Garoppolo has officially passed his physical and has been practicing with the team. So, Mike, I will also let you talk about this. I'm going to switch the screen over to, show Jimmy. I believe there's a clip of him passing it to Devontae.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how quickly the mentality shifts when you get a little bit of positive news. And maybe everything surrounding Jimmy G was so negative that I was just super negative about it, right? From the get-go, we move on from Carr, and then let's just see this really quick here. I mean, this is nice.
Oh man, that is a familiar throwing motion. Oh, you know what? I saw that earlier, and I went, that's a beautiful ball."
Yeah.
Like
No,
yeah. Jimmy throws a nice football. I'll say that about Jimmy, and it seems like his teammates really like him. I know Max Crosby said that Jimmy's like already talking shit in camp, and like he just like loves the dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my point about the whole negativity and positivity, I mean, it's like, we signed Jimmy G, and it was like all the Raider fans were hoping was for something bigger and better. I mean, there weren't any free agents really out there that were that much bigger and better. But I think a lot of guys wanted us to draft somebody this year, maybe. And
what about Sam Darnold?
Yeah, no.
Apparently Darnold's going to be QB2, according to Chris Sims. So
we'll see. Yeah. For the Niners, of course, but he signs, and it's like, okay, okay, proven winner, but like, look at the Niners teams he's played for. Like, is he really going to do that with the Raiders? I don't know. He is, I would say, not a better quarterback than Carr, but there are things that Jimmy G does that maybe Carr doesn't do as well, whereas Carr does things that Jimmy G just has not done in his career, which I will get into in a second. I want to get into that just a little bit, but
I think Carr pushes the ball downfield better than Jimmy does. I don't think Jimmy really looks to push the ball downfield, and I think that might be a conflict with Devontae Adams a little bit, because Devontae's sort of the deep threat receiver. But Jimmy can make up in areas where maybe Michael Mayer or Hunter Renfrow might start carrying more of the load. Right. And sort of the shorter passing game. Josh Jacobs might be a little bit more involved in the passing game with checkdowns, assuming Jacobs is back for this season.
Right. So I want to give a quick shout out to this YouTube channel called Raider Films. Mm-hmm. They put out pretty good YouTube content. And they just recently put out a video about Jimmy G today, in respect to these videos that have come out of him. So just really quick, 1 second here. I want to just give some stats. In the video, Raider Films gives some very specific stats that I actually was audibly gasping, because I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that bad. So I'll get to that. We're going to talk about completion percentage. Okay. And a little, yeah. So Derek Carr, in his career, 64.6% completion percentage. Jimmy G, in his career, 67.6%. Now, again, like you said, Derek Carr is more prone to maybe pushing it down the field compared to Jimmy G maybe not doing that. So that'll help him with his completion percentage, right? It also helps when your receivers aren't dropping the ball as much as Raiders receivers were in Derek Carr's time. Okay. So I'm not going to fault Derek Carr too much on that. Let's do a couple of specific seasons, 2021 and 2022. Derek Carr in 2021, 68.4% completion percentage in 17 games started. Bear in mind, I think Derek Carr had like 4,800 yards that year. A lot, like almost 5,000 yards. Arguably maybe his best season. Jimmy G in 2021, 68.3%, just about the same in 15 games started for the Niners.
With a couple injuries too.
Yeah. And then 2022, Derek Carr, 60.8% completion percentage in 15 games started. The 2 games that he didn't start were the end of the year because he was benched.
Because of the contract.
Yeah. Or
they didn't want him to get injured, right?
Yeah,
so they could preserve his trade value, and it didn't really work out. But
yeah, or at the very least,
I mean,
if he got
his
injured,
money didn't become fully guaranteed.
Yeah. 2022, so 60.8% for Carr. 2022, 2022 in 10 games started for Jimmy G, 67.2%. So that's a little better than Derek Carr. Now, these are the stats that Raider Films gave. In the red zone, okay, this has been an ongoing issue for the Raiders for a little while now. I believe this is over their careers. Derek Carr inside the 20 has a 42.11% completion percentage. So sub 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inside the 10-yard line, Derek Carr's completion percentage is 33.33%. A third of his passes are getting caught. The other 2/3 are not. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy G inside the 20, 60.47%. Inside the 10, 60.9%. So Raider fans have been complaining for a while now about red zone efficiency. Jimmy G has that. Derek Carr does not.
Jimmy G had that. He had that. So I think one of the reasons why his numbers are so high in the red zone is because of the supporting cast he had and the play caller he had. It's no question that Kyle Shanahan is a great play caller. I give Kyle Shanahan a lot of shit sometimes, because sometimes he just calls like stupid plays or, unfolds in like, stupid moments. But I'm not talking about Kyle right now. Jimmy definitely benefited from the team that he had. And that's not to say that he can't operate with the weapons that the Raiders have. Ideally, if the Raiders are able to get Devontae back, if they're able to, clearly they're going to get Devontae back. He's under contract. If they're able to have Devontae, have Josh Jacobs back, have Hunter Renfrow, who's shifty as a slot receiver. If Michael Mayer develops, honestly, Austin Hooper isn't that bad of a tight end either. Jacoby Myers as well, and he played in that Patriots system. So Josh McDaniels has won Super Bowls, as an offensive coordinator. So Jimmy should be, in theory, be able to step into this offense and, like you said, improve that red zone efficiency. But I will say that the numbers were so high because Jimmy was having the benefit of having Kyle Shanahan and that supporting cast. He had George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, even towards, you were naming numbers from 2021. So it was Elijah Mitchell as the running back, and Mitchell's a pretty good running back too. So
yeah. I mean, here's my other thing that's just interesting to me, and this was something that Raider Films brought up in the YouTube video. I just hadn't really thought of this. I had, but like I didn't really think too hard about it. He brought up the point that, back in, I don't know if it was 2016, 2017, there was that rumor that the Patriots wanted to move on from Brady and they wanted Jimmy G to be the guy, right? Well, that was Josh McDaniels' offense. So, and then, it's rumored that Tom Brady said no to that and may have gone to Robert Kraft or something like that and told them, don't do that, and then they ended up winning another Super Bowl or two or whatever happened. So it worked out. But, it sounded to me like if it wasn't Belichick's guy, Jimmy G was Josh McDaniels' guy. Josh McDaniels was in charge of the offense. So
he might have been both of their guys. Honestly, I heard he was Belichick's guy, but clearly he's also McDaniels' guy because Jimmy's over here in Vegas now. So
yeah. And bear in mind, I still look at Jimmy G like a bridge quarterback, but I think if health permitting for not just him, but the entire team, I can see success with Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, I think what it really depends on is the defense's improvement and the offensive line. I think that's what it really depends on, because I don't expect a crazy, throw it deep offense with Jimmy G, but I mean, you have Devontae Adams, you have a couple gadget receivers that are pretty fast, like Philip Dorsett, and maybe Trey Tucker develops into something. But for the most part, I see a West Coast offense, essentially dink and dunk, where Jimmy G can just excel, and be very efficient.
I think you bring up a great point about the importance of the offensive line and the defense, because where Jimmy has been able to have a lot of success in his career has been the Niners holding teams to obviously not scoring so many points against them, and Jimmy has shown that he can operate an offense. Like, he's a serviceable quarterback. You can win games with him, and I think at this point in time, I don't think Raider fans are expecting Super Bowl. They just want to win some fucking games.
Yeah. Really,
you guys just want to make the playoffs. Like,
exactly.
I know right every team wants a Super Bowl, right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Every team wants a Super Bowl, but you guys just need to, like, baby steps. If Jimmy can bring in, like, sort of establish like a winning mentality and show whoever's the next person how to run the offense efficiently, then what more can you ask out of them, really?
Yeah, exactly. I'll finish with with the whole comparison to Carr and Jimmy G. I will give this to Carr, not like reluctantly or anything. I'm just stating facts. Because I'm definitely I'm not gonna become like a Jimmy G truther and like a Carr hater. Like, I love and appreciate Carr for what he was and everything. My whole point at the beginning was, it's funny how I get 1 to 2 days of seeing Jimmy G on the field. He passes his physical. All this time it was like, dude, we might not have a quarterback. Then he passes his physical, and it's like, oh, okay, everything's fine. Let's just breathe. Everything's fine. And then you see him on the field, like this video here, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, he is competent. That's right. Like, it's okay, And then you hear Devontae Adams and Max Crosby talking about Jimmy G in their press conferences, and it's like, they clearly, to me, it's clear that they like him. They like what he brings to this team. They like what he brings to the, team's mentality and culture. And I like what I'm hearing so far. But as far as Derek Carr and Jimmy G, 2019 was Jimmy G's best season as far as pass yards, 3,978 yards. And then let's see, Derek Carr's, like I said, 2021. Really quick here just to get it right. 2021, he had 4,804 yards. So 4,804. So the one thing, well, not the one thing, but the major thing with Derek Carr relative to Jimmy G is Jimmy G, he's not going to throw for as many yards as Derek Carr is. And maybe that works in this offense if they plan on, having Jacobs get the ball 400 times again. We'll see, right? But I don't know. I look at Jimmy G as a good game manager, a good leader on the team, and like you said, he has that winning mentality.
So I'm very interested to see if Jimmy could ever excel in like a just drop back and like, pass first offense, because I kind of, like, before he came to the Niners, I got that vibe from him. I'm like, damn, Jimmy can really sling it. And then, like, I sort of was a Jimmy G truther after 2017, and I even after 2019, but 2020 is like when I started to, like, snap back to reality of, like, just about how good he is. And I'm holding on to the whole Jimmy G truther thing because, you mentioned it. If Jimmy G balls out this season and takes the Raiders to the playoffs, or you know what? If they win week 1, I'll tell you what, I'll bust out my Jimmy G jersey and I'll wear it, for that stream after week 1. Yeah. And if I don't, it will be because Trey Lance starts and completely lights it up. week 1.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I'll bust out that jersey. But we'll even see if either of those things even happen.